All right, guys. Steve's joining us again for this review, and we just watched The French Connection. So let me tell you guys. Let me just go over the plot.
You know, this is based on something that really happened.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You all
Yes,
know that?
and a book.
Yep.
Okay, so a pair of New York police detectives in the Narcotics Bureau stumble onto a heroin smuggling ring based in Marseille, but stopping them and capturing their leaders proves an elusive goal. And it's pretty much it. I mean, there's no real like subplots or nothing like that. It's just that. It's very just linear. That's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna stop them.
Like a noir cop thriller.
Yeah. So, what'd you guys think?
I got a question. I just want to ask this really first to get out in front of it. What's with the fishing pole?
When you used it at the beginning?
Yeah, where did it come from? Why do you have it?
There's a lot of stuff in this movie that didn't really make sense to me.
No, yeah, I got a bigger question, but later, yeah, we'll get to that. But the fishing pole, yeah, I don't know, man.
I have a question about the foot fetish deal. Anyone?
I don't know that one.
My first...
Well, they kept saying, like, you pick your feet so-and-so
yeah,
where,
yeah.
and then you
What
kept
was
looking
that?
at boots.
Is that something in the 70s or 60s
I looked it
people
up.
used to
I
say?
looked it up.
Okay.
He was trying to what they were trying to do is confuse them into, and then they come at them with the real stuff so that they're kind of like discombobulated or something.
And who does this? This is something cops do?
This is something cops do. Yeah, this is a tactic.
I've never heard of that before.
So they try and confuse them. It's a tactic, and then they'll they'll give them some real information. You know, so it was kind of like because he was acting confused. He's like, I don't know what he's talking about, picking feet, and that's like, and that's why Roy Scheider's character, he like turned around and was like smiling, like because he knows he's just effing with him. It's a tactic. So.
Okay.
My first question was, why when he shoots him is there tons of blood on his face? But then
There's
it
a lot of
immediately
blood.
shows him falling down and there's no blood.
Ooh, I missed that.
It's just a bad continuity thing, probably.
But
or
like
just-
it was so because like when he shot him, it was like
it
explosive.
looked like tomato juice all over
and
his
then
face.
he fell down and they're like completely dry.
That was
face and
shocking.
body.
Yeah, when he just
They did make it like overly gory. Like there was a car accident scene that was just kind of thrown in there in the middle at some point, and just everybody inside was just mauled with glass. Like okay,
Just shrapnel.
And I don't know. Do you guys know the Hays Code?
What's that?
So it's just like a code in film, things you don't talk about or do, and like eventually they kind of they lived by it for a long time in Hollywood, and then they got rid of it. I learned about it from a Tarantino interview, and I don't know enough about it to really talk intellectually, except for that it occurs to me like it might have changed right around this time. So like maybe they just now realize they can get away with blood, and so they were doing it.
Oh, like excessive.
overdoing it. Maybe that was kind of in my head. I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Good point. Because it is very. I mean, 71's 20 or 52 years ago, so it's showing that much blood is like shocking.
Yeah, it's uncommon.
for the time.
Well, okay, because
Well-
like the history of film, and Ben, you probably know more about this than I do because you went to school and everything, and they probably taught you some stuff that I haven't taught myself. But you know, early on in film, there wasn't really any rules. It was kind of a new thing. It was silent, but whatever. And then they kind of got they got a little carried away, maybe, and so the powers that be, heads of studios and whatever, they kind of just established this ground rules kind of to live by, like the commandments, you know, if you will. And then slowly kind of decided that it was dated, and they started getting away from it eventually. I don't know what spans of the
Right.
it all happened.
I've actually never heard of
But-
that. The Hays Code.
This is the dude that did The Exorcist, right? Same director. Yeah. So the blood didn't surprise me that much, I guess, because The Exorcist came after this, and he had the girl masturbating with a crucifix.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess like the stuff in this didn't really shock me because that in my mind that's him.
Yeah.
Right.
So like I was like, okay, yeah, there's some blood, but I was like, it's not The Exorcist, which came out in '73 and blew minds.
Yeah.
But then I was like, whoa, racism.
So
LOL.
the timeline's good that you bring that 73. I didn't see The Exorcist, but I went back through because, just for context, like French Connection was 71, cost 1.8 million. In 67, Cool Hand Luke came out for 3.2 million. Bullet came out in 68, cost 4 million. Those were both before the French Connection. Chinatown came out a few years after French Connection, cost 6 million. And then Taxi Driver came out a couple years after that in 76 and only cost 1.9. So it was a relatively low budget film.
Yeah.
I don't know why they wasted their money on a fishing pole.
Right.
But, like you see, it's kind of in the middle of these other films that were a big deal.
Yeah.
And
I love this where you hung up on like the first 10 minutes. Fishing pole.
yeah,
Get out of
I
here, fishing
watched
pole.
it twice. I watched the beginning twice because I was like, did I miss something?
It's just showing that
That's one
he's
angry
living the life.
That's
man.
one angry Santa.
I guess.
But what were some of the things that you liked about this movie?
The chase scenes were very good.
Oh yeah,
It's like
there's a lot of them.
for like this time, obviously groundbreaking chase scenes, like so well done, so well
but
shot.
Also, where they put the camera, from what I understand, in the front of the car when he's going through
Oh,
the
it's
traffic.
awesome.
Yeah.
That was a new. That was
Yeah,
like
it was
he was
like
the first guy
groundbreaking.
who
Yeah.
did that. You know, like so that
GoPro
was a really
style.
big deal. That they didn't have GoPros. You know,
Yeah.
It really
obviously they-
immersed you in the scene.
Yeah.
You know what
no,
I'm
it was-
saying?
it was shot very
the
well.
camera techniques in that chase scene were like it got your heart pumping.
Yeah.
Made
Yeah.
the intensity
They were
just
good.
rise and
I did feel like the blood was good for the time at first, but I felt like throughout the movie it started to look more and more like just red paint.
like in what scene?
Like in the beginning, it didn't look great, but like it's 71. Like,
Yeah.
but then just progressively, like each time there was blood, I was like, it looks less and less like blood.
I did read that they went about 300,000 over the budget. It was supposed to be 1.5. They went to 1.8. So maybe they were chinsing on the blood
Yeah.
at some
We
point.
need more blood.
I did write the best scene in the movie was the street hockey game in the middle of the night.
But the can,
Yeah,
When the
just
car
them
drove
playing
around.
garbage can street hockey.
It's just so
was
random.
so great.
Yeah.
I thought the dialogue was
love
really
it.
good.
The
And
dialogue
it felt like genuine and real for like cops in that time.
the whole movie felt genuine and real. The chase scenes for sure. Just the way it was shot, it had like a grittiness
And
to it.
the end, like the last shots
know what
in
it-
that dilapidated building, I like thought were really impressive.
It really brought to life like the New York grittiness,
Yeah.
grimy, dilapidatedness.
kind of felt immersed in the city and what there was going
You know
on.
what it felt like? It felt like a Michael Mann movie.
I could see that.
So this is another thing I read about. He was inspired by some foreign film, European, I think. I can't remember the name. I want to say it was like Z or some letter. But that was the camera technique. It was kind of like before shaky cam was a thing. He was doing a lot of it handheld, and that's I think probably what translates into what you're seeing. At least
Oh yeah, it makes it
from what I
more
read.
real.
And it was a unique thing to do at the time, especially in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nowadays it's just
Because it won a shitload of awards.
Yeah.
like 5 Academy Awards. Yeah.
Something like that. Best Picture, Best Actor.
Plus, that happens a lot with Americans getting inspired by foreign stuff and take it.
Yeah, but it was groundbreaking at the time. That the camera techniques and like you said, Steve. Yeah, it's shot to make you feel like you were in their shoes during the chases. You know.
Yeah.
Right.
And when he's chasing that Pierre guy, it was just it worked so well, that chase, because
On the train?
Yeah, because it would go
was
to
a good
him. It
scene,
would go
yeah.
to him in the vehicle.
Yeah.
Just the destruction and just the haphazardness of it all, and just the intensity of him going 100 miles an hour down New York streets, and then it would cut to that guy in the train running, and it was a very intense scene.
It was.
And then he eventually took control of the train, and then that's what leads to him shooting him dead on the stairs. That iconic,
Right.
shot. What did you guys think of like Jimmy, the main character, Gene Hackman? What did you guys think?
Popeye?
Yeah,
Little racist.
Very,
Little
very racist. Yeah.
shady, drunk,
Yeah.
rough, hard nosed,
Confident.
confident. Yep,
That kind of made him feel more real, though.
it did.
He's like a New York cop that you're not going to be perfect. He's going to go through some crap.
it's like a flawed protagonist.
Yeah.
yeah, like a lot of like an anti-hero.
yeah.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of things from it that had inspired things I like,
Yeah.
nowadays. And I wonder, how much, like, well, that's why I kind of started looking into what came before it, because I was, is this what inspired all these things, or did something else inspire this movie? And
Are you thinking of
how deep
the
do we go
Beastie
here?
Boys music video?
No, I'm thinking of, we'll bring it, I've talked about this before, Ronin.
Yeah.
So the beginning, when he shoots the guy on the steps, I don't know why that was in the movie, but the whole sequence and the scenes and the buildings in France, it all really was visually reminiscent of Ronin, some
Yeah.
scenes in Ronin. And then on the train reminded me of Collateral
Okay.
a little bit. The scene, obviously very different, but the thing happening on
Collateral
the train.
rules.
And also a great movie. So it made me see a bunch of movies that I actually kind of would have been rather watching.
Yeah.
I just asked
I'm
that
with you.
because I did write. It reminds me of a Beastie Boys music video, the whole movie.
Sabotage.
Funny. I think you know what, I like the main character. I like him, but he's just
Which is weird to me.
he was very like
You usually don't like the murky characters.
yeah, but like
except for The Sopranos.
he was so like
that doesn't count.
what I liked was that he was so driven to just do that one thing and just get the bad guy, no matter what collateral damage, no matter what gets in his way. That chase scene, he's just going through
Well, I
like
mean,
Yeah, that's on brand.
After he got sniped at, he was like, well, I'm getting you now.
Yeah.
You tried
Now.
to kill me
Yep.
and killed somebody.
I think that trait about him is very likable, but like you could definitely find a lot of unlikable
Well, I was
traits in
gonna
him
say,
as well.
there's a part of it that made me say that's a big Ben move.
What?
Is when they were like, well, yeah, we tore apart the car and like there's nothing in it, and he just goes, I don't buy it. I don't buy that. And then like, which is something you would say, like you're like, I know you're telling me this is wrong, but I just don't believe you.
Well, it's probably because he knew they didn't check the most obvious fucking
Well,
spot.
yeah, but then I was like,
Right.
they didn't think about like the weight discrepancy until
that-
after
Right,
all
yeah.
of
That
that.
would be like the first thing on your list. You're looking at the paperwork,
I honestly
right?
thought
Yeah.
that was a pretty clever way for him to discover.
Oh,
I mean,
it is, but also,
But it
looking
should
at
have
the-
happened first.
You're right.
You know, like
who's looking at the manual though? You know, that's like a last kind of.
sure, maybe.
well, I mean, if you're a detective, you would think you would.
They eventually
look-
found it. They eventually
Which,
found it.
but just that whole scene was so
But
funny because
also
I was
the
like,
timeline in this film, and this brings this scene more than anything, is weird. Like at one point when he goes up to that accident scene where the people are bloody in the car, the chief's like, "You've been working on this for 6 months." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Wait, 6 months went by? How was I supposed to read that? Just like it didn't seem right." And then in the car scene, how long does it take to take apart a car and then put it back together spotlessly?
Oh,
Like,
man,
I
that
thought
was,
that
I was
was weird.
wondering that
they say,
too.
"Oh, not a mark on it."
I was going to ask about
Yeah.
that. Was that a different car that they put the plate on, or was that the same
I don't
car?
think it's
The
like
same
a
one.
very unique car. You know,
that
yeah.
doesn't make any sense then.
No, that's what I mean. The editing
They
doesn't make
tore
any
that-
sense.
Yeah.
they tore that car apart. So
The
that does,
storytelling, I was not a fan here.
Yeah, I think you had to
didn't it
suspend
was done
belief a little
really
bit for that part.
yeah.
but yeah, that's the because literally Ben has said to us before, he's like, I don't buy what's fed to me like everybody
Yeah.
else.
What about speaking of the car? So in the street hockey, the guys drive around 3 times and they're steal the car now,
Right.
and that's when they all move. It was a big mistake. First of all, they're detectives. They should have known that they were casing the car, right? It wasn't
Yeah.
a drug deal. They
Yes.
drove around 3 times and casing.
I
it.
predicted that when I seen him.
Yeah, so did I. It was very obvious, but the
Yeah.
detectives they didn't get it.
Right.
But then also they never showed the guys leaving the car. Like, I thought the guys were still in the car, unless I missed it. I don't think they showed anybody leaving it. So I was kind of lost as to what was going on. Like, are they just sitting in the car waiting for
Yeah, I guess I just
the better
didn't
part
think
of a
about it.
day now to do a drug? Oh no, they're gone the whole time. Oh, thanks for letting me know. Where's their fishing poles?
But then I feel like also like how we said racist, but like it's almost like he's putting on a front of being racist because like that's expected to of him because like
Well,
he
times.
makes that whole big scene in like the black bar and then takes that guy aside and they're like yeah, like buddy and he's an informant and then immediately again is dropping the hard R
Yeah,
and like that guy is obviously unfazed by it.
right.
So it's like a very weird thin line that like he
But
obviously almost every police officer back then had some embedded racism.
Yeah.
in
I mean,
them.
more than police
But-
officers.
well, yeah,
I mean,
but-
the
Yeah.
time, like, we're all about the same age, I assume, right around 40,
Yeah.
early
Yeah.
40s. You know, we lived through a time where, I mean, things have changed drastically in
Yeah.
our lifetime. And it could be argued that there have been moments in time, but I mean, 150 years
Oh, yeah.
post-slavery. And nothing. I mean, you know, there was segregation still for like 70 years. They
Yeah,
weren't allowed
which
to
is insane.
Vote for like another 30 or something. I mean, it was like it was really slow how things changed, and then Rodney King happened, and then films and
Yeah.
rap music and everything. You know, like the culture kind of just came out of nowhere and slapped us in the face. And growing up in that time, it just kind of became our culture. A lot of people,
Yeah.
live, especially if you lived in near a big city. You know,
I mean,
It's
some people in the South are still stuck in.
like- sure, right, whether they don't have like movie theaters. and stuff.
Yeah. Still dropping hard R's.
Yeah.
I think it paved the way for a lot of like, cops and robbers thrillers, crime thrillers. You know what I mean? Like Heat.
For sure.
To Live and Die in L.A.
Heat, I think, is on a whole nother level.
Yep.
It is.
But I do think it might have inspired partner movies, you know, like 48 Hours
Buddy
flicks.
cop.
And,
It's just a
Yeah,
darker buddy cop movie.
because they don't really dive into that too much, the partners thing, but you can tell that they're clearly attached to each other and work together. And I think
Yeah.
that opened the door to really develop that relationship
Yeah.
in a lot of films.
They have a chemistry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good cop, bad cop. You know, like
Right.
Roy Scheider's more like professional, straight laced guy, and Gene Hackman's the more rough.
Wild
Just a
card.
mess.
Yeah. But I will say this that I wish they would have developed more was the characters. We don't really know much about them, do we?
That's a lot of why I don't like the storytelling of it.
We don't know much about Gene Hackman's personal life. We don't know much about Roy Scheider, either of them. Or
We never saw him outside of work.
Yeah.
It's like all they did was
Other than he bangs chicks with bikes and boots.
Right.
And he gets handcuffed to the bed.
I at first didn't like. I was like, why do I know him? And I was like, Jaws. Like
Yeah.
I just didn't register at first.
That's crazy.
And I also said, terrible eater. When he's eating that sandwich, I hated it. There's just lunch meat all over his face. He's talking to that girl while he's hammering that sandwich. A grotesque scene.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
And also the pacing was a bit strange. It was either like balls to the wall
Yeah.
or
Or
was
slow.
just slow, which was
That's what killed me about it. Was like the stakeout parts. I'm like, this is so boring. I'm just standing here waiting outside a diner for like 20 minutes. Good
Yeah, do a
God.
montage or like like
For real.
show the hands of a clock spinning by.
Yeah.
And I also have a question for you guys. What do you think Jimmy's character arc was like? Because you're supposed to, from point A to point B, you're supposed to change drastically. Like, what do you guys say it is?
It isn't.
Because I couldn't. I don't think I figured it out.
Doesn't he shoot the wrong guy at the end too? And he's like, oh well.
Yeah, that's
He
it.
shot a good guy, right? It was a good guy, right? He
Yeah,
shot
it
a
was,
cop.
and he
was
had
like,
ki-
no, shit
he had got
happens.
he had got another guy killed before.
Yeah.
and that this guy had disdain for him. So
And that woman with her stroller got sniped instead of him.
Yeah.
so,
he
I
didn't.
mean,
He showed no remorse for that.
Just
he
leave
didn't
her.
even give a shit.
Yeah,
But he straight up killed that Fed in the end and was just like, he's here somewhere.
Oops.
yeah. He's basically, I'm gonna go get him.
Yeah. I was like, what are you doing?
You take care of this.
And Scheider was like, "You just killed whatever." You
and
know,
then
like.
didn't get him. And
But
the
if
guy
you
got away.
guys,
Yeah, right, they didn't get him
if you
either.
guys had to say like an arc for him, what would it be? Like, did he redeem himself from?
No.
No, I think he
He
tumbled
murdered
down
it.
a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
If anything, I think he just found himself
Deeper.
Yeah.
deeper and just losing.
Oh, you
any
think so? You
sense of-
say like, what would it?
I think he let
Like a negative arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think he let hate or anger or just frustration or obsession
Yeah.
just take
Yes,
him over.
obsession is a good
Yeah, you
word.
got obsessed.
And it just took him over and took him to a place. I mean, he's got to go to prison now, right? He just
Yep.
killed a Fed.
Yeah.
That's
So,
a
like-
great. That's a great point. Yeah.
And I don't know if you call that an arc so much as just a funnel.
Straight
maybe.
downfall.
Yeah, I mean, it went hard.
The downfall of a detective. Yeah, I want to get back to that chase sequence between when he's chasing that guy. I forget his name.
With stolen car, borrows the car, that thing.
No, when he's
The sniper dude, right?
Oh,
when he's tailing the head guy from Marseille. He's tailing him on the subway.
Oh, the beard?
That was a really cool scene.
oh, In and Out.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was well shot.
Yeah, it was. It was
Very
well
well
done.
It did.
shot.
It got to the point where it was almost cartoonish, though. At some point,
Yeah,
'cause it kept,
yeah.
like at some point, you got to know he knows you know. Like,
Right.
what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I couldn't take my.
That's
eyes
one
off
thing that
either.
bugged me is they knew the feds were following the whole time, but they're like, let's just go through this drug deal.
Just do it.
Let's do it. We got a whole week. We'll plan it out. But they're following us every step. But let's do it anyway.
But that's why the timeline thing I think makes it like if we could have wrapped our heads around 6 months it took, and then he took him off the case, and then a sniper tried to kill him at that moment. So of course he's back on because he can't live with that.
Right, right.
But like 6 months went by, and technically he was taken off the case, and maybe they had somebody inside who told him they're not on
True.
the case, but they did it on their own anyway, and then they found them drugs, and so they got it back on the case. But we're left to kind of just
Guess.
assume that
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
what it must have been what happened. When I don't feel like there's anything
They were
there.
also using shotguns in like a long range gunfight. Like in the standoff, like for the outside of the building, inside of the building.
Oh, were they?
They were
Well,
just
that's all they had.
They were just shooting
Well, you can-
shotguns from the cars.
That's all they had.
You can have rifled shotguns that are.
But I don't think that's what that was.
I don't know how you know. I mean, you can shoot slugs out of a rifled shotgun. You'll
That
get
kind
some
of-
good distance and accuracy out of them.
Kind of bothered me too that they didn't just go in the rest of the warehouse and they're like,
Why?
the bridge.
They waited for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what are you
Why?
doing? They're all right there, grouped with
Yeah,
no
just
guns.
go get them.
Yeah.
Instead, you got to chase them all around the world.
Oh, now they got
Like,
guns. Shucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now
come in-
we got to make it dramatic.
Yeah.
You know.
I like the aesthetic, if that's what you mean by shot. I don't think it was like put together well. I don't think the story was told particularly well. I don't know beef with the acting really, but
Yeah.
I didn't really care for it, especially when you consider how revered it was and is.
Yes.
And I go back like in time and just think about other movies around the era. Like Chinatown was a great fucking movie. You know, I mean, what were some of the other ones I mentioned earlier?
Heat.
Heat.
Oh well, Heat's newer, obviously. I mean, we're talking way back.
Bullet?
Heat's
Yeah.
way newer. But yeah, Bullet, Cool
Bullet-
Hand Luke,
Cool
is a
Hand- yeah.
fucking great movie.
Yep. Means no.
Taxi Driver, solid movie.
Yeah.
Not one I particularly like watching over and over again, but really good.
It's a real feel good movie.
And then then you throw this one in. Yeah, feel good. Then you throw this one in the middle there, and I just think like it just wasn't a good movie. You know, like,
I'm with you.
I didn't love it either.
Yeah. I
I enjoyed
see
it.
what
I enjoyed it.
why it got high praise. I get
Parts of it,
a lot of it are
chore,
good.
to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
and then again, it didn't. A lot of it didn't make sense either. It felt like I was in like a bad acid trip.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm glad that you said that the timeline and stuff didn't make sense because I thought the same way, but I was like, did I just check out and not pay attention?
I actually did fall asleep at one point.
So
and
I'm glad that
I
somebody
went
else
back and
felt
watched
that
it,
way.
so I think I thought I figured it out, but I did fall asleep at one point and thought maybe I just completely missed something. But
No.
I did watch it at 6 times speed though, so that
That'd be
I watched it in half an hour.
Should have given me a heads up. I would have done that for sure.
Chipmunk voices. Yeah.
You can only watch stuff at like 1.5 speed, or so that the audio lines up. And like if you watch with subtitles, if you go any faster than that, it's all ruined, and some stuff just won't even play audio.
I get that it's like groundbreaking stuff and the scenes and stuff, the way it's shot and stuff like that is groundbreaking for the time. But just overall, bore fest. It didn't do anything.
Bore
It bored me
it
to
still
death.
could have been edited better and just told better. Like the story itself, I think I agree with you.
I
Yeah.
thought at least the chase sequences would have pleased you guys, and you've been
Yeah, they were.
Oh, I did
They were
like
good.
some
Yeah,
of it.
they were good.
Yeah, it had its moments for sure.
Yeah.
and all in all, like you said, there's it did some things that if you go back in the time,
But like, especially
Yeah.
for you guys talking about it, like how
It's impressive.
the film work, like the camera work was, but like I didn't think about that while watching it. I wasn't going, you know what? I don't know that a movie that came out before this did this with the camera. Like I wasn't.
I mean, even
I had to look into it because it caught my eye though,
Yeah.
and I even wondered if it was really on a car because at one point he goes through, he's like weaving in and out of traffic, and it didn't seem like there was even enough room for a car.
Right.
yeah.
And I thought maybe that was a flaw in the editing. So that's what actually got me started looking into it. And then I found out they were the first to attach a camera to the front of a
Which, yeah,
car.
that's-
And it
crazy.
did actually look like at one point that it almost crashed into like the crew. Like one of the shots.
I think
one
what I
of the
read
shots
is
was
they did
crazy.
some mistakes. They hit a pedestrian car. I think
Because it like showed
really?
it too.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Catch
Yeah.
that? Oh, wow. It was wild, man. I'll include that in the video, but man,
Even for nowadays, the chase sequences are good. Like for nowadays,
Exactly,
movies,
yeah.
they're good. They're very
Another
good.
reason why I love the movie Ronin. Best chase sequences, no
They just have a
slow
very good
motion,
chase
no fast forward.
really reeling me in
Yeah.
on this Ronin.
I mean, they're legitimately driving their cars through these narrow alleys at high speeds, and it's not. There's no film CGI.
if
There's
there's
it's
a criterion,
raw.
if there's a criterion 4K, I'm buying it tonight.
I'm buying it tonight, he said.
I'm just saying. So in the beginning, when we were talking about the sound and stuff, and in the beginning when he shot that guy with the baguette, and then took a bite out of it, which I thought was pretty cool. I still didn't know why he shot the guy, so that was weird.
I
He wasn't relevant.
I think that guy was either feeding information or he was a cop.
Oh, okay. Anyway, in that moment, he goes up the alleyway, or he's going up the stairs in this alley, and you hear a dog bark obnoxiously loud. That's not on screen,
Yeah.
nowhere to be seen. It's just woof woof. Like, okay, we're just trying to make this real. And then a baby cries, and I'm like, all right, it's enough. Like, we're gonna show these things or not?
Yeah.
Not show them,
pushing a panel of sound effects.
Right.
There's also one line that killed me. I don't know why, but when he was like, because he was talking about like how successful he was at solving cases or whatever, and he's like, you grab a bellhop because he's got 3 joints in his sock, and I don't know why, but that just killed me. When I think it was his superior like saying to him, like,
Yeah.
you put in all this work and you grabbed a bellhop because he's got 3 joints in his sock.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I died. Like I literally
Yeah.
was laughing out loud.
You're not chasing like
Yeah.
the big fish. You're going after like small.
And it was
what are you
just so
doing?
funny to me.
Yeah, that was funny. I did catch that line. But anyway, let's get.
I'm guessing he didn't actually kill a Fed in the real story, real life. So why would they put that in there? I was confused. Because this is based on like 2 real cops,
Kill
Yeah,
the
there's
Fed.
a lot of choices
In the
that
end,
were
he
hard to
shoots the
follow
Fed?
for me.
Oh yeah.
and it's just like
Maybe it did happen. I have no idea what. I don't know
I
anything
didn't
about
read-
the. Oh, I know it's based off real things, but I don't know.
It's based
any
off
of
a
the
book
story.
too.
I scanned like the real events and like kind of a little bit just to get a feel for what it was, and I didn't read anything about that. That does not to say it didn't happen.
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know.
it just seems like an
Probably
odd
didn't happen.
odd throw in.
It was based off
if
a
it didn't,
book too, so they could have added that in the book.
Yeah.
And then whatever.
Right.
just to make you hate the character all of a sudden in the end. Like
show how far he'd fallen, or to just be able
Yeah.
to display how indifferent he is to other people's lives.
maybe yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, to get that across. Yeah.
But again, we're doing a lot of work here for this director. I think. Like,
Yeah, it's true.
Right.
Do better.
Yeah.
right.
May he rest in peace, William Friedkin.
He did make The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Which also I didn't care for. But
Honestly, I don't love it like other people do, but that is one of the movies where like I was like, for 73, this is wild.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
It didn't scare me at all, which was a problem because like
Also,
everybody's making a big fuss about that.
I
Yeah.
don't know if everybody does this, but like now I don't, but like the first half hour or whatever being in the desert, I was like, when I rewatched it when I was older, I was like, I don't remember this much of the movie being this chunk, and then we just went and saw it for like the 50th anniversary or something, and I literally was like, hey, I'm gonna take a nap, wake me up when the desert stuff is over. Which I didn't really do
Because none
but
of
it
the
was
famous clips or lines are from the desert. So
yeah, well, it just seems. I get it, but like it seems like so much was dedicated, like such a big chunk of time where it could have been like a 5-minute thing.
Yeah.
But then when we just saw it for the 50th anniversary, there was like extra stuff, and he does say, I think it was Iraq. They let him film in Iraq, and he was just like, "This is crazy. They don't let anybody film in Iraq," and that's why he did so much of that stuff is that he got to film in Iraq for the movie.
Just showing everybody
Yeah.
he could do it.
All right, let's get to ratings. What did you guys give it out of 10? You could do 0.5s too, Steve. So, what did you guys give it out?
I don't. 4.
Really, a 4?
I put a lot of weight on storytelling and watchability, and I didn't think it really.
rewatchability. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think it really hit any of the. I mean, watchable. I didn't really
That
enjoy
too,
it
yeah.
the first time,
Yeah.
and so I'm not going to rewatch it probably. And so I put a heavy weight on that, and that's why it's low.
I agree with you.
Indifferent.
I give it a 5, just because I appreciate what it did, and some of the shots were very well done, and
Sure.
the acting and stuff is great. The showing the city and stuff is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But just overall, I was really bored at times. Like some of the stakeouts were just so boring.
Shaw?
I gave it a 6 out of 10, but I feel like you guys know a lot of my 6 out of 10s is leaning more towards their ratings. It's just if I don't love it, but I don't hate it, that's where it gets like
A 6.
5.5, 6.
Yeah.
3 out of 5.
I gave it a 7. I enjoyed it. I mean, I couldn't find many flaws that I didn't like about it besides just the pacing was a little off and that the characters weren't fully developed.
What did I give? I gave The Green Knight like a 4, right? So I couldn't give this a 4.
Yeah, the Green Knight's trash. So, but final recommendation: watch it ASAP, watch it whenever, or skip it.
It's hard to say skip because it's very famous, but I wouldn't watch it. My opinion.
I'd say watch it whenever.
If you have HBO Max, watch it whenever. If you don't, skip it.
I'd say skip it unless you're like in
guess.
film school or something.
Yeah, there you
required to
go.
Watch, or you want to see where maybe some of your favorite movies came from.
Well, this is a first, actually. First time we've ever had a tie, not majority rules. I mean, I don't know
I
what
think
to
we
do
know who wins here. Though.
here. Right.
You do the editing.
100%. Yeah, I'll just cut one of those out.
But
Sorry, I meant to say Steve is not with us today.
Right.
The battery died. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's our review for The French Connection. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Steve, and we will talk to you guys pretty soon.